Hey guys, I want to welcome you to the weekly Wednesday for the Financial Freedom newsletter, where every week, every Wednesday, we delve into something inspirational, motivational, something excerpt taken from the Financial Freedom weekly newsletter. Wherever you are, if you're listening on Spotify, on iTunes, Google, be sure to click the like, subscribe, share, comment. And without ado, let's get into the show. Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode for the Financial Freedom Podcast. And I'm delighted to have Amanda Thomas as a guest on our show today. She's going to talk to us all about healing, changing your life around, manifesting. She has an incredible story. With that, Amanda, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, so I know your story, but tell the audience, how you got started. And, I know you have a very inspiring story, so share that.
Thank you. I always start at the rock bottom moment in my life about 5 years ago when I was just in a state of utter chaos. I was in a career that wasn't well suited for me. I was in a pretty good size amount of debt, and I was ending a long-term relationship and that had become pretty toxic. And so things were just spiraling out of control, just so much faster than I could even catch up with. And long story short, my life came to that T when I got an eviction notice from the apartment I was living in. And I had very limited choices at that point. I had run out of my resources. And so what I decided to do, rather than moving home to stay with family, I decided to just stop, pause, and really try and figure out those answers to those questions that we all come to. Like, what is the meaning to this life? What is the point of all of this? How did I even get to this place? And so I decided to just pack a few things up and live out of my car. And unfortunately, it was a little bit longer than I had hoped to. I ended up staying in my car for almost a little over a year, actually, waking up in Walmart parking lots and showering in, public gyms. And it was just, it was a lot. But I will say that throughout that year, I started to really piece together those puzzle pieces where, I did start to find the meaning. And what I realized is that life is not meant to be so difficult. We are not meant to struggle so much. And even though life isn't always going to be easy, we can absolutely find ease in the flow of life, and we can start to work our way through things with a little bit more clarity and, helping to find that mission, that purpose, that service that we came here to provide for this world.
Yeah, I love that. And it's all about, I think, everybody has some rock bottom moment. It could be financial, it could be physical, relationship. And one thing that really stood out to me is that I listened to one podcast. He's talking about he trains his nervous system. He trains his brain to look at things in a different way. He's not tuned into Crisis News Network or Fox News, all these propaganda outlets. So you talk about how to train your nervous system, co-creating with your nervous system, and regulating stress. Tell us all about this. This is fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. The truth is you can absolutely train your nervous system. And I think that this is something that is going to make a massive impact in the world very soon. Like over the next 5 years, you're going to start hearing a lot more about priming your nervous system, staying regulated. And it's a very simple process of just embodying a few simple habits that you can implement every day, and incorporating some balance exercises in the morning or even, multiple times throughout the day is really powerful. And you don't realize that the nervous system is your command center. I think we forget that. Like the nervous system is what controls the way that you think, the way that you feel, the way that you breathe, the way that you speak, the way that you move. I mean, it's your center. And so if you're not balanced, you cannot create anything more for your life. You cannot reach those goals that you wish to achieve. You cannot create from a place of dysregulation. And I want to talk about that chronic stress that builds up in us, right? We live in a world that is very chaotic, that is really deeply embedded in fear. And we noticed that, we learned that throughout COVID, right? And like you said, with that other podcast that you're listening to, if we let ourselves be consumed by the way of this world, then we're always going to be operating from a place of fear and dysregulation. And when we don't have a way to release that stress or to release those emotions that are constantly building up within us, then that's when things, like with me, things got way out of control, way farther than they needed to be. And there really are just these simple solutions that we can implement.
Yeah, I love that. And I look through, when I, hear what you're saying, it sounds like, this struggling career, debt, relationship, just chaos. Sounded like you didn't have boundaries. So talk to the audience about how you develop boundaries, what you say yes and no to, start to piece those together.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Boundaries are huge. And that comes from just living from a place of intention. Before you can set a boundary, you have to decide what you want. And so, how do you want to be showing up in the world? How do you want to be treated by others? How do you want to be serving? You have to figure that out for yourselves so that you can be from a place of not doing, but being. And I'm sure you've heard that a lot in your different interviews, but it's so important to just be in a present moment and a state of just being and letting yourself demonstrate to others how you want to be treated and what you wish to see and experience in this world. That's really huge for me, is this idea of conscious evolution, right? Having we as a species can participate in where we're going, and we can do that very consciously. And what that means is we have to come from these greater levels of empathy and support for one another, connection with one another. And yet, in order to have those connections and that support from each other, we have to have those boundaries, knowing this is what I need from you. Let me clearly articulate that to you. And then you tell me what you need so that you can be operating from your highest potential. Because when we are all operating from that level of, potential and creativity within us, I always say it's that impulse of creativity within us. We all have that. And so when we want to create something new, something more, something different, not only for our own lives, but for this world, then we have to learn to be flexible, resilient, and then in that space with one another, co-create.
Yeah, I love that. And I can actually, looking through so it sounds like, you progress from states of lower vibration to states of higher vibration by making these conscious choices. And what's interesting is you can see the law of attraction playing out, because it's like, as you start to gain clarity, then you start to make these better choices, and you start to progress and ultimately thrive, which is
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah, and going back to that level of vibration and that energy that you want to be feeling and working from is so important to be, again, in that regulated state. So there's these 6 states of the nervous system. This is based off the polyvagal theory. And if you are in a dysregulated state, you're either going to be in that fight or flight response, you're going to be in that dorsal vagal response, or that freeze response is what some people call it. And then otherwise there's that in-between state of overwhelm, where you're just so panicked, so stressed, and you're constantly moving from that fight or flight to pure shutdown, and you're not making any progress. And so when you take time to do something as simple as what we call body tapping, making a fist with your hand and tapping along your arms, your shoulders, your stomach, your legs, something like that, to help ground yourself and to just kind of start that process of rewiring and redirecting of energy, then you can know, okay, now I'm feeling like I have the ability to see things clearly, to really be able to operate from a place of productivity versus just spinning my wheels constantly. So that's a huge thing that I have learned. And one other thing I will share then is, back when I was in that chaotic period of my life and I was living out of a car, and I was, trying to make this business work and some different things going on, I learned so much about mindset, and mindset is a really huge key to success and to transformation. And we all know that. But what I've learned over the past a couple of years more studying like the somatics of healing and making results for your life, then what you're realizing is your nervous system does run afferently. And what that means is that 80% of our nerves are moving from the body to the brain. And that's leaving only 20% of your body's communication to go from the brain into the body. So if you want to create space for all those new wonderful things to come into your life, you have to be able to release all of that trauma, all of that emotion, all of that stored, all those stored feelings in your body. You have to have a way to release them. So what I say now is, if you want to shift a belief, you use mindset work. If you want to release a belief, you use somatics. And that is, again, finding just simple exercises to move your body, to get your steps in every day, to do the body tapping, to do some things like just shaking your body, your arms, your legs, just anything that you can do to shift that energy through your body. But what you're doing is releasing it ultimately.
Yeah, well, that's actually I never heard of that. Which is quite, you learn something new every day. So you talk about neurological fitness and training your nervous system. Well, like I know, elite athletes, they condition, but they also do like mental. But you talk about training your nervous system and neurological fitness, which I'm quite interested in these releasing techniques. What describe that?
Sure. So neurological fitness is simply the overall measure of your nervous system. How balanced are you? How resilient is your nervous system? How flexible is your nervous system? And so if you use an app that I use called NeuroFit, that's where I got my training from, is the company NeuroFit. It's an amazing app where you just go onto it every single day, and in just 5 minutes, you're going to take an HRV reading. You're going to do a daily check-in of the day before, just some habits and assessment of the different life aspects. How are you feeling, right? Like, what's the state? Again, going back to those 6 states of the nervous system, you assess, like, you're just making sure that you're becoming really aware of, if every single day I'm tapping a dysregulated state for my environment or for my relationships, then maybe it's time to do something about it, right? And so very simple. And then what you do after you input a few things, the app will give you a balance score of your nervous system. Like, this is what you're showing me. This is saying, well, you seem to be in that sympathetic state today, so let's get you into a state of stillness practice today. Or if you're really feeling like that shutdown mode or that drained or numb feeling, let's get you moving that energy into a playful state. And so what that does is gives you like 5 or 6 suggestions of some different balance exercises that you can use to just do for about 3 minutes. There's a timer. I always just put on a good song, and then I just do the balance exercises. You're going to feel incredible after doing it. And it's just been a game changer, like just a total game changer for my life. And it's so simple, so effective. It's like deceptively effective if you just take these few minutes a day, like setting yourself up for that success.
I love that. So NeuroFit for all the audience out there, which is interesting. And I love that. Use this app, but let's say people are just interested in, is it a morning routine? Is it these types of things? Expand more on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say, even if you're not using the app, again, all I want you to take away from this is to move your body. Do something every single day, for even if it's just 5 to 10 minutes a day. Put on a song or go outside, walk around the block, do something to move your body, because what you have to understand is that we are energy. Everything is energy. So we just have to constantly be having these recovery plans in place, because life gets so stressful. And if a stressful event happens or circumstance, it's not to say that it's going to be easy. I think I said that earlier, but what you understand is that it's not the end all be all. We don't have to let it ruin our day. We don't have to let it completely throw us off track. We just have to say, okay, that happened. Let me respond, right? It's that idea of neuroplasticity, which, I'm sure is, a lot of people think that's just brain, right? And it is. It's rewiring, reconnecting, reorganizing these different pathways in your brain, but it also applies to the entire nervous system. It's your whole circuitry. And so knowing that we just have to, and it's frustrating to me because it is so simple. Like, how many people do you know that are in this state of just overwhelmed, constantly stressed, and not doing anything about it when all they have to do is get off the couch and go walk around the block and they're going to feel 100 times better. And I'm not trying to like put anyone down. And I know how hard it is to pick yourself up when you're in these lower states. But I promise you, if you just even 80% of the time try to do what could be healthier for you and could really help make a better impact in your life, it's going to be incredible.
Fascinating. I really love that. Incorporating a neurological fitness routine into your day. And yeah, I love that. Just moving your body, breathing. And I love how you described creating space by releasing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's about clearing, right? Anything to do with healing is about clearing. We have to clear what's not working. We have to clear what's stuck. We have to clear all of the outdated beliefs and paradigms and all of the BS from the past that just doesn't apply to where we're going. And so that's really all it is. I think the most important thing I've learned is if you don't get to the root cause of an issue, then without that understanding, there is no clarity and there's no power. So my business is called Power Through Healing because, again, you just have to create that power within you, not even create the power within you because it's been there all along. You have to just unfold. You have to let yourself be inspired and to know that you're here for a purpose. You're here for a reason, no matter how big or small that might be. You have a reason for being here and for waking up every single day.
Yeah, I love that. How can people, and I assume actually, for deeper, like, for example, emotional trauma, more serious, there's more like hypnotherapy, there's different types of, there's therapy coaching.
Exactly. I mean, this is what I've learned. And I do a lot of breath work over the past year or so. I've been really diving deep into breath work, which if you haven't tried it, please do. It's an excellent way to get to know yourself, right? And so I noticed that as soon as I started incorporating like the NeuroFit protocol into my life, then when I have a breathwork session or if I have an energy healing session, I do a lot of Reiki with a Reiki healer. If I have a session with them on top of doing these daily practices, again, 5 minutes a day, I have the most expansive experience. I mean, I unleash so much trauma that has been stored in my body in these other modalities. And so it's not a one size fits all approach when you're talking about healing. It's very much a holistic thing and you have to find what works for you. For me and my programs, for my clients, we do incorporate the NeuroFit protocol, and then we also might dig deeper into that root cause once again through hypnotherapy and to help really get that clarity that we need to know where are we now, where have we been, what happened to me, what do I need to release, and so that I can move forward in a more direct way.
I love that. How can people contact you, follow you, reach out to you?
Yeah, I would love if you just go to my website, Power Through. You can download a free hypnosis audio. You can download a free PDF on co-creating with your nervous system. Follow me on Instagram. I try and do as much as I can to educate people on my page. It's just this _is_ Amanda Thomas.
And for all the listeners out there, let's thank Amanda for coming onto the show. This is really interesting, turning your life around, getting yourself out, and very inspiring story. And thanks so much. Be sure to follow her on all her socials. These will be in the show notes. And with that, thanks so much for coming onto the podcast.
Thank you very much.
I hope you really enjoyed that wonderful, inspirational, motivational piece. Again, wherever you are listening, if you liked it, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. We're on everywhere: Spotify, iTunes, Google, Amazon, Audible. And without much ado, be sure to thank this show's sponsors, and we'll see you next week.